I was out in my driveway on a crisp Saturday morning, tape measure in hand, staring at a simple wooden post that held my mailbox. It was the kind of ordinary suburban chore you'd expect in a quiet neighborhood like Willow Creek, Michigan, a place where folks mowed their lawns every weekend and waved hello over picket fences. But that day, something felt off. Little did I know, this post was about to spark a battle that would light up the entire cul-de-sac, quite literally. The voice came from behind me, nasal and precise, like a school principal announcing detention. "It's the hue, John. It's all about the hue." I didn't need to turn around to recognize it. It was Harold, the president of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association. Harold treated the neighborhood rules like sacred scripture, enforcing them with the zeal of a traffic cop on commission. He ironed his khakis with military precision and probably alphabetized his spice rack. I snapped the tape measure shut and faced him. "Harold, it's beige. The post is beige, the house is beige, even the damn curb is beige. It matches perfectly." He stood on the sidewalk, right at the property line. He knew it down to the inch, clutching his ever-present clipboard, cargo shorts, tucked-in polo, and a pair of spotless sneakers. He tapped the paper. "Incorrect. The guidelines specify all mailbox posts must be in willow whisper shade. Yours, John, is drifting toward autumn cream. I checked with a color spectrometer this morning." I blinked at him, then at the post. "It's the same paint I used 5 years ago. Sun faded it a bit, that's all." "UV degradation," he replied with a smug smile. "It's non-compliant. Aggressive, even." He handed me a thick envelope, like he was serving a subpoena. "Official notice, 72 hours to fix it, or a $500 fine, plus $50 per day. $500 for a faded post?" I felt my blood pressure spike. This wasn't just about the mailbox. It was payback for the time I left my grill out overnight or parked my truck in the driveway too long. Harold had been gunning for me. I snatched the letter and stormed inside, slamming the door. My wife, Linda, was away visiting her sister, which was probably for the best. She'd have told me to just repaint it and move on. But me? I'm a guy who believes in principles. And a healthy dose of spite. Opening the letter, it got worse. Not just the color. The post-pyramid cap violated the visual harmony rule. It needed a flat top. I paced the kitchen, nursing a coffee that turned into a beer by noon. This was tyranny in khakis. I glanced out the window. Harold was measuring a neighbor's hedges. The man was a suburban dictator. That's when I decided, no paint store for me. I'd fight fire with. Well, a bigger fire. I dug out the massive binder of covenants from the closet, the Willow Creek CC and RS, for 100 pages of rules on everything from fence heights to acceptable flower colors. I'd skimmed it at closing years ago, but now? I brewed strong coffee and dove in like a lawyer prepping for trial. Hours blurred into the night. Rules on pool covers, noise levels, holiday lights. It was mind-numbing. But buried in the back, in a section from the neighborhood's founding in the 90s, I found gold. Section 9, subsection D, to honor the fictional maritime heritage of Willow Creek, which was basically a dry creek bed. Residents could erect nautical decorations, including miniature lighthouses, up to 12 feet tall. And for lighthouses, they needed a working light to guide the community. My heart raced. The rule Harold cited banned non-standard mail receptacles. But if I built a lighthouse around my mailbox, the mailbox became part of the decor, not the structure itself. It was a loophole big enough to drive a boat through. Sketching plans, I envisioned a 12-foot tower, striped like a candy cane, with a powerful rotating light. Not some dim bulb, a beacon that would make Harold's life hell. But I needed help. I'm handy, but this was engineering. Craigslist it was. I skipped the pros and found. I build weird stuff. Cash only. No red tape. The ad screamed soulmate. I emailed at 3 a.m. Need a 12-foot lighthouse despite my HOA press. 72 hours. Can you do concrete? 30 seconds later, does it rotate? I replied yes. Be there at 6. Bring coffee. Mike arrived in a rust bucket truck loaded with tools and what looked like a spear gun. He was a giant, 6 feet 4 inches, bearded, t-shirt reading rules. Suggestions. He had the mailbox, then Harold's house. That's the enemy? HOA president, I confirmed. Mike grinned. I once built a catapult for a guy whose HOA band swings. Smashed their gazebo. Glorious. He read the bylaws. 12 feet, functioning light. We're going pro, concrete base, steel frame, real Fresnel lens from a salvage yard. Gale-proof. 48 hours? I asked. Materials and lunch. Labor's free for spite jobs. War started at 7:01 a.m., 1 tick after noise ordinance allowed. Mike fired up the concrete saw, screaming like a banshee. Dust flew. Harold burst out in his robe, waving arms. Stop this madness. I yelled over the noise. Garden ornament, section 9. Harold called the cops. Officer Thompson arrived, sighed at the chaos. Vern, Harold, police enforce laws, not HOA nonsense. John's got a county permit. Harold fumed as Thompson drove off. By noon, Inspector Reynolds showed up, Harold's ace. But Reynolds bonded with Mike over rebar specs. This exceeds code. Love lighthouses. My wife and I toured the Great Lakes. No violations. Harold slunk away, defeated for now. Day 3. Harold blocked the crane with his car. My buddy Mark, the lawyer, rolled up. Tortious interference, Harold. Move it, or it's towed to Detroit. Harold complied, face ashen. We hoisted the tower, black and white spirals, glass lantern with a 1,000-watt bulb. At dusk, neighbors gathered. I speechified. For too long, We've lived under dim rules. This lighthouse honors our heritage and lights the way. Mike flipped the switch. The beam exploded, 40,000 lumens sweeping like a searchlight. It hit Harold's house every 10 seconds. He shrieked, "My eyes!" Neighbors cheered. "Mrs. Henderson, I can walk my dog safely now." Harold fled indoors, curtains drawn. But the light pierced through. 3 days later, emergency HOA meeting. Packed room. Harold proposed banning towers. Mark stood, grandfathered in. Or buy it for $42,000. The board balked, no budget. Amendment passed, but my lighthouse stayed, the only one. Life normalized. The lighthouse became a landmark, the city plaque read, "The Anderson Lighthouse, Est. 2024. Beacon against bureaucracy." Harold even suggested touching up the paint once, old habits. One evening, as the beam swept, Harold nodded from his yard. "Good night, John." "Good night, Harold." It ended with a monument to persistence. No more fines for me. What do you think about stories like this? Have you faced unfair rules or petty tyrants in your life? Share in the comments, especially your thoughts on injustice and how far is too far in fighting back. Take a stand. I'd love to hear your views.